Hey everybody, Jimmy with the Triple C Collective, and
Collin here.
we are ready to bring you the season 3 finale of The Mandalorian, chapter 24, The Return.
Wow.
And so first off, before we even dive into this, what did you think of last episode? Because you weren't here.
Oh, it was great. But it was a little, it ended on a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
So you were waiting for this one for sure. It needed this episode needed to happen, but it was great. It was the ending left you like, oh my god, what's gonna happen?
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of get up right again. You go right into action in this episode, and it's great.
You absolutely do.
But this episode was much like better overall than I expected. Even
it really was. And for that, let's just go ahead and dive into it.
Yeah.
This episode was really great because it picks off virtually right where the last episode ended.
Bo basically gives the audience an update with Axe Woves, who's flying up through, the atmosphere at this point.
Yeah.
And yeah, so she's giving him an update of what's going on, that there's Imperial ships that they're going to come up and basically destroy the fleet. So get down here.
Leave the cruiser.
Leave the cruiser,
up there as a decoy, but get everybody else and all of the other gauntlets and get them down there.
Yep.
Get them down there because we need help.
Yep.
And this is like awesome.
Yeah,
right?
we set off like the plans in motion right away.
Mm-hmm.
She knows the only way they're gonna get a win is ground.
It's ground warfare at this point. They don't have
the Imperials have too many ships.
Too many ships and too many quick ships at that. It's that because like
bombers.
Yeah. They're totally outmatched in the air. So the ground fight is the only way to go. And this is it's just awesome. And then we just see wolves like still like flying through the air. We cut back, and then we get some explosions and stuff behind Bo, and like all the Mandalorians. They're running through these like tunnels, still trying to find their way out of here. And then Bo the captain is like, I've got a place that we can go.
Yep.
I got a place we can go, and they escape like with their jetpacks through like the little crack. And I gotta say, I love seeing the Mandalorians use their jetpacks, man.
Yes, yeah. Oh, it's the best. This episode, if you ever wondered how they fought midair and stuff, this is the episode for you.
You get it. Those questions.
Those
questions are answered.
They did a little bit in Clone Wars and stuff, but I think this is definitely the first time we've seen like in air fighting for sure. But yeah, so they go off. They're going to like a safe place where like these other Mandalorians who've been living on Mandalore know about. So they're gonna go there.
Yeah. We get a cut to Din. He is being, I guess, carried to the debrief, for lack of a better word, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he just like breaks free. He does what he does,
yep.
And he breaks free. He, gets the commandos, gets loose from them enough to fight them. One of them basically gets to the point of having a blaster pointed to the back of his head.
He's about to lose the fight.
He's about to get it, and then Grogu in Krang's body, IG-11's android body, comes up and is like, no, and like, I love it.
Crushes his like hand basically. Yeah,
it's
cool. I didn't expect Grogu to help out this early in the episode.
Right, and Grogu's an active player throughout this whole episode.
Mm-hmm. So if you thought Grogu was a side player this season, which is a fair assessment, he definitely gets his comeuppance in this. He does.
Absolutely, because like even in this, like Din's like, hey, I need your help. I need you to step up. I need you to be brave. I need you to cut me loose from these bindings.
Also.
But then he also explains like his Din and Grogu's job of, we have to take out Moff Gideon.
Yeah, there's no way around
It's
this,
not gonna stop unless we do it. And it's really awesome that they just throw it out there, because like I think even in episode 6 or something, like we talked about like, would we get, because that's where we see the dark, or like the Shadow Council for the first time and everything like that. And we asked, would we see a Thrawn versus Moff Gideon throwdown? And I think like with this answer here, like we get that in the point of like they're saying no. Moff Gideon is like in the Mandalorian or will be done like by the end of this episode by that, and like it's really awesome, man. Like when I heard that, I was like, ooh,
yeah, he threw down the
great.
gauntlet for sure.
Like, oh man, it was so great. And but then then Bo takes the troops. They go into safety. They find this. They find the caverns basically.
It's like in the middle of a desert. It's basically like
a garden. It's an oasis.
It's an oasis.
That's what you're talking about. Yeah. So they take them here. Din is is like still like hunting through the tunnels. Like, God, there's a lot.
Yeah. So they explain at that point when they're at the place, the oasis, basically. They explain that they've gathered the forest, the natural vegetation on the planet, and kind of just dispersed it throughout this little area where there's sunlight and enough resources for them to live off of, and they jump between these places. So they've been cultivating, like they've been farming, like these survivors are like pretty cool, I think.
It's
so they've already started the Restore Mandalore project before they even
Bo
show up,
or like anybody else goes here. Then we get a cut to we get Din calling to R5, being like, buddy, I need your help. I need to figure out Moff Gideon's location at his command center.
I love R5 in this.
R5 is a nervous wreck of a droid. Like, he is absolutely just outrageous. And
they programmed him for anxiety, I think.
Yeah, he's so funny.
Yeah.
But, dude, like, he does it. He gets there. He finds the command center. He gets the location for Din, and then we get the Mandalorian fleet. We cut back to Axe Wolves. He is almost basically in or on his way to the cruiser, and then gets into the cruiser, being like, all right, we need gauntlets. Let's get them out of here. Everybody's gone. I'll take care of the main ship. We're using it as a decoy. Bo needs our help. Get down there.
So he hops in the gunship, basically, the top, and while the gauntlets kind of break off and slowly go through the atmosphere, and this is
such a sweet shot.
Cool scene.
You see all of the gauntlets go
they go down through the
clouds. And then you see all the Imperials
coming up through it, and they just miss each other, and so the Mandalorians have succeeded already in their plan of basically Trojan horsing the Imperial gauntlet, the starship.
Yeah, the Imperials.
Cruiser,
it's so good. Then we get the stuff very reminiscent of episode 1, Phantom Menace. Like, literally at the end of Duel of the Fates, like we get the red barriers, and like you show me this in Star Wars, and I'm always gonna think of that. I'm always gonna think of Darth Maul then cutting Qui-Gon Jinn in half. And sorry if I'm spoiling those movies at this point for you.
At this point.
Like, those are 20 plus years old now. Like, wild stuff. But R5, he calls back to him, and
he's like, I'm gonna need your help too. Like, Din's really calling for everyone, like all of his partners' help in this episode, and he's like, R5, I'm gonna need you. I'm gonna need you to deactivate these, like you said, there's red shields that act as doors, passages through this hallway that he's trying to get through to get to Moff Gideon, and R5's coming through clutch, but the mouse droid is kind of giving him stuff while Din starts dealing with the guards 2x2 basically.
Yeah, 2x2, basically one barrier at a time, and each barrier has 2 guards like in it or about it, and that strategic walkthrough that he does is amazing on how he beats them all up. And like in that first one though, it's so funny because he's like reaching for the gun and he's like, oh no, like the blaster, and he's like, it's right there. It's
and he finally gets through to the last one, and R5's having real problems with the mouse droids.
Oh yeah, with those freaking mouse droids are like
they're
nipping
sirens
at him.
on. They're like going at him, and he does like an R2D2 move where he just electrocutes.
Well, he electrocutes the one, and then the dude leaves, comes back with his buddies,
with his gang.
Yeah, and then he gets to fly away, which is still again another
R2 thing from the prequels, which you don't see in the original films, but I'm like sure he had that. They just couldn't show you that in the original films. You know what I mean?
It's a matter of like
Money
and
and
doing a
special
prequel,
effects. Yeah.
doing prequel 30
Right.
years later, 20 years later after the originals
Yeah.
come out. It kind of
Or maybe they got broken.
Yeah.
Who knows?
either way. This R5 stuff is awesome.
Yeah.
Din walking through there and like beating everybody is great. I love that he gets
And the tension in the last one where R5
he-
isn't necessarily opening the door and
because
he's
he's
like,
got the
"Open
Mouser
door."
door. Because he's got the Mouser. He's not just like
He's not just slacking off, smoking in the corner.
Yeah, you know, he's
having
not
a
just
cup
like
of coffee.
he's not on a smoke break or a coffee break or something. But like, that it's just so good.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Mm-hmm.
After the barriers, we get and like we've seen all of this before with Moff Gideon walking through. We get the barriers, and then we get the tanks. Now, before when we saw him, I personally don't remember seeing like the faces of Moff Gideon. I always thought that they were kind of like blanked out the first time we saw them with Moff Gideon when he was going to the Shadow Council meeting. I don't think we saw a face there, so I was always like, who are you in there? But we find out, oh, no. They are Moff Gideon,
Yeah.
and he has been messing with clones, trying to clone himself. And because, like, we see one of the Moff Gideon clones.
Yeah,
eyes
while
open.
Grogu's kind of like looking around,
Yeah.
scared.
And
one
like-
of them eyes open, but it's actually just it's eyes open because it's Din just opened the chute and they're all about to die.
Yeah.
He
they're all-
basically he kills all of them right away. He opens the tanks too early and he just deactivates that plan
dumps
immediately.
them. Then we get a cut to the actual gardens
Yep,
themselves.
that's when they explain. Yeah,
And this is where they explained everything. But the as they're still there, they get a call from the armorer.
Mhm.
Bo-Katan. Larry, what does she say? Lady Bo?
Lady
Katan?
Bo, yeah,
Lady Bo-Katan.
Kryze, yeah.
Your reinforcements have arrived.
It's
and
nice.
dude,
Yeah.
it's so cool.
So we get Bo flying up, and then the armor and her fleet jumping off, doing a
and basically anyone who wasn't piloting the gauntlet ships.
yeah.
All
was
drop down
using
as
their
like,
jetpacks.
yeah. All drop down as like Mandalorian troopers using their jetpacks and everything, and it is dude.
So while we see
so
that, we also
cool.
see Moff Gideon's Imperial troopers who have the Beskar armor and the jetpacks on,
Yeah.
flying up to fight at this point.
To
And
go
we
meet
we're kind of getting a sick battle scene, which is what we were talking about at the beginning. If you wanted to see Mandalorians with their jetpacks fighting midair, you got that in this episode for sure.
How about the one thing
the Darksaber?
of Bo-Katan taking
Yeah.
out the Darksaber and then just lighting it and like
Yeah.
like it almost
Leading
seemed
the
like
charge.
like
She's
it
leading the
almost
charge.
but it also almost seemed like she went faster after that.
Yeah, right.
And
Just
it's like
cutting
I
through the
know
air.
she didn't go like necessarily
No.
faster. Like there's probably one or two speeds
yeah,
on
yeah,
that
exactly,
thing
right.
max.
Right.
But like it just seemed and like they shot. Man, I just loved it. I
Mm-hmm.
just loved it. It was so great. It was so awesome. This Imperial fight though,
Mm-hmm.
it is amazing because then we also get the lower down ground fight that basically becomes Din, Grogu, and
I
Moff
like the
Gideon.
way they cut the fight scene in this. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
cool. So it's like the in-air fight scene, and then you get Din, Grogu, and like it's they don't do hard cuts either. It's like it all seems like one fluid thing.
Yeah. It's like beautifully edited together. This is a well shot episode, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
choreographed well because fight scenes are hard to do sometimes when they're like so different, especially.
right. I love the armor just beating people mid-air
I know.
with her
I'm like,
forging
girl,
tools.
get some
like,
new weapons.
but I mean, like
It's cool,
at
but
the
yeah,
same
yeah.
time, like she don't need to fix what ain't broken. Like
Yeah, I know.
the stuff works.
yeah.
Bo shooting the blasters out of her knees, like.
Oh, it's so
Dude,
cool.
that-
I mean, it's just this aerial fight's one of the coolest things I've seen in Star Wars. Like this season's given me a couple like my favorite scenes in Star Wars history,
Yeah.
and this is one of them for sure.
And you're not wrong. And then, dude, I even loved the Grogu stuff.
Right.
Of like Grogu gets kind of by himself with the red like guards and stuff, the red Imperial
He gets
guards.
trapped in like a room basically with
And
them.
then IG-12 gets chopped up into, like pieces basically, gets the arm, legs are gone. Grogu starts flipping around.
That's all he could basically do at this point is play defense. So
Yeah.
he's like running away from the guards and kind of making them look like an idiots, kind
And-
of.
but it's like
fun,
hilarious
but,
because you know what? It is like silent film era kind of like almost slapsticky kind of comedy in it, because you do see them like whipping stuff, and like it's actually pretty funny that like these guards are just like so bad, and you just got the little puppet Grogu just running around and like flipping through the air,
right.
and stuff.
And then at
like,
this same point, so you got Moff Gideon and Din fighting outside, and Moff Gideon's got this cool armor that's got the Mandalorian helmet, basically. Like it's also seems more bionic. It seems more like he's got something in there that's helping him, because he's not necessarily stronger than Din, especially, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but this suit has definitely upped his game.
Well, right, in his suit, it almost felt like Moff's suit is total Mandalorian suit.
Yeah, definitely Beskar.
Definitely Beskar as well. But his
But add
looks,
Empire funds.
But so I was talking to one of our other co-founders, Mr. Crowley, and we were talking yesterday, and he brought up the thing of like Moff's suit looked very Iron Man-y.
Yeah, that's what I'm
and
saying.
It goes exactly with what you're saying, and that's it. Like I felt mechanical.
You
to
literally
me.
heard that sound compared to everyone other Mandalorian. I'm just
gonna say.
Yeah,
John
exactly.
Favreau,
if anyone knows how to
Iron
do a
Man.
masked character,
if anyone knows how to do this stuff, it's gonna be John Favreau.
yeah. But he's kind of losing the fight at this point. Din is, and this when Bo comes.
Yeah.
And it's basically Bo, Din versus Moff, and then back to Grogu.
And then Bo's like, "Hey, go save your son.
Yep.
And let me go take care of this." And the Bo versus Moff stuff is amazing, dude. Like, it really is.
It's reminiscent. It's So are you going to surrender this time? Like, basically, she surrendered. You saw that in previous.
Yeah.
So she surrendered to start. He's really just taunting, and she's just going at him. But it's pretty cool when you see Din and Grogu fighting together in this next portion.
Yeah,
because
dude, right?
This is what we've all been waiting for. I'm like waiting for a first player game where you could play as Din and then have the Force too with Grogu every once in a while.
As like the special move or whatever.
Exactly.
But like in the Mandalorian v Commandos, as we've talked about.
It's
awesome.
1 versus 3 or 2 versus 3 now.
Yeah.
It was 1 versus 3, and then Din comes in and just kind of lays the smackdown on him with the help of Grogu, because he's just throwing him around like
Grogu's just throwing those guards' weapons around and stuff, and like, how about it? Again, another one of those guards like was ready to get behind Din, was ready to grab. Like you saw the motion. He was going to be able to grab it, and there's basically clock Din right away, and you just see Grogu go poof. Throw it, and like you see Grogu throw like people around and stuff. Like, he was really
and
using,
if you remember,
like, the Force.
towards the first season or whatever, when he'd use the Force, it would really tire him out. It didn't seem to affect him so much anymore.
Yeah.
It seems like he's definitely learned how to hone the ability.
Well, right, because
with the help of Luke, right?
Right. So like going back to like something that I don't think they ever explicitly said within the shows, but Jon Favreau himself has said that Grogu was with Luke for 2 years training. So then it's like, knowing that little bit is like that's when we see this leap here. It's like of Grogu's abilities and everything. You see it and you're like, oh yes, this makes sense. He was with Luke. He trained for a little bit. We don't know how long he trained, but but like, he was already a youngling in the temple during Order 66. Again, we don't know how, like, birth till like Order 66, whatever. But like,
long enough to have been trained in the Force, and then definitely long enough with Luke now to have honed his abilities.
Exactly.
And now he's becoming more and more.
And we don't also really
every time he fights though with these abilities, he has to get the clearance from Din, it seems like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He definitely has to get, like, I need you to fight with me. I need you to, which is, I appreciate. Otherwise, like, that's too much power for one person to have.
Yeah.
So yeah, they take out the guards real quick, and then we go back outside to help.
Yeah, to help
Bo, because in the midst of all that, she basically gets her the Darksaber crushed
by Moff Gideon.
Yeah,
And
again, he doesn't have any powers, so there has to be some kind of mechanical
like thing that does that, because like you even like Bo even looks at her hand after it and was like, oh, this is like this hurts. Like this is bad. Then we get a quick cut of the cruiser falling.
Yeah, basically, Wogs is basically using it like kamikaze style, but he's gonna jump out of it towards the end. And he lets Bo know, like, I'm coming towards you. You guys got to get out of there. And they're like, all right, but we're fighting Moff. We got to do what we got to do, and so he jumps out of the thing. And the thing's coming towards him. And
all the Mandalorians are leaving, shooting up as well.
Yeah.
Bo and Din are still fighting Moff. Moff Gideon almost gets a weapon to like kind of get an upper hand in that fight, but Grogu throws it off the ledge.
Right.
And then basically the cruiser, but it like falls in, and we start seeing all the explosions, and like the T2 like fire starts coming, and then poof.
Yeah.
Everyone
they get it. It engulfs him.
It engulfs
completely,
Moff Gideon.
And then you see those three like, she puts her shield up, and you're like, uh-oh. But luckily Grogu's there, and he creates this like thing.
The force bubble.
The force bubble around them that protects them from the blast, and it's pretty cool. And it also makes me wonder if Moff really got killed, or if he's gonna be like a burnt shard.
Yeah.
Like Darth Vader type character that'll return eventually.
Right. I'm not. So here's the thing.
Plus, there was clones and all this other stuff that could.
This was right for sure. There was clones that could have survived that. Like anything could have happened. But so Crowley and I were also talking about this. Like, did Moff die? Will he come back or anything? And I was like, in favor of that he died. We see him engulfed in flame on screen. So I would say, for all intents and purposes, we see his death on screen. Yeah. And like, I will happily have the discussion if he's alive or
no,
dead.
for intents and purposes for this episode,
I think he
dies.
Is dead.
Yeah.
I think he's dead. But you're right, because I don't think he has typical Mandalorian gear where I feel there are some breaks in the armor, like with like a cloth or something, or like a chainmail or whatever underneath there, or exposed.
But he had he also had Vader's like gear on too.
Yeah,
how he started off, it was basically Vader's gear, which was medical equipment basically. Yeah. So you assume he's got some kind of goo going on down there. Maybe some stuff that can come out when a fire happens. I don't know. Anyway, for this episode, though, he definitely is defeated and done for, as far as you can tell. And Grogu saves the day with the Force bubble surrounding them.
Then we get a couple of quick cuts after that. We go to the Mines of Mandalore. Ragnar speaks the words to start walking the way, and becomes
Paz Vizsla's kid.
Yeah, which is Paz Vizsla's.
Yeah,
Paz Vizsla.
He's getting finalized into becoming a Mandalorian basically, and this is when Din brings up Grogu and is like, I want him.
Add Grogu to the song.
Yeah,
and like as we've heard forever now, he's too young to speak the words. And then Din's like, well, what about a parent? And the armorer was like,
those people are really far from here.
Are real far away, if they're even alive.
All right.
So that's a no-go.
Right.
But and Din decides to adopt him.
This was awesome.
It was so great. It was so awesome.
Because it was already basically this way, but because Grogu basically chose him as his parent already, so it's like it was just you waiting for this moment.
Yeah. You were waiting for Din's opportunity to do this, because you're right.
Takes him in as a son.
Yeah, as a son, as apprentice, like no longer a foundling.
Yeah, he's graduating basically, and so this is it.
And it's awesome. So you will now be known as Din Grogu, which is great.
Yeah.
Din Grogu, Mandalorian apprentice, and then Armor's like, you gotta get out of here. You gotta go on your journeys, the same as like yours did before you.
So you do kind of wonder, how is he gonna do like bounties? You're like, like
happen?
bounties are a little. It's like, I don't know if that's gonna. but that's
What's
the
gonna
way,
happen?
you know. So yeah, this is when you cut to now.
No, we get two things. We see
Yeah.
the mythosaur.
Oh yeah, you do.
And then we see the relighting of the Great Forge.
Huge thing.
Which is like which is like
And they have the banners too, which is cool in the
Yeah.
forge room.
which is what I almost think like the return they're talking about is that.
yeah.
Is like the return of Mandalore.
Oh, for sure.
In the
the return of them to Mandalore, the return of Moff Gideon, the return. It definitely refers to a lot of things, but it definitely at the end refers to this return, the Great Return.
Yeah, the return of
Mandalorians.
yeah.
So this is only a portion of them, right? And this is so we got to go out to the
Right.
far stretches of the
I
galaxy.
mean, to be fair, we all know just because Sabine Wren has been cast in the Ahsoka series, we've seen her in the Ahsoka trailer. Like they're
Also,
like
since the Darksabers broke, I haven't brought this up yet, but we saw the robot that David Tennant's playing in the Ahsoka trailer, and I wondered why we were seeing that, because like unless it's a flashback scene of Ahsoka turning hers white, I can only assume maybe Bo's going there to get her Darksaber fixed.
Oh.
Because he's like 1,000 years old or something like that.
Oh, that's a good
Yeah.
point.
So he would be the one to be able to rebuild something like that. But that doesn't matter to them, because that was a point I wanted to bring up earlier. Is that doesn't matter. The Darksaber thing kind of, they're following Bo no matter what. Now this is it. Like they just saw her in action, and like not even Wolves and the armor are 100% behind her. It seems like, you know, at this point where they're relighting the forge. Like,
Oh, yeah.
the Darksaber's broken, but she
That's
defeated
okay.
the enemy,
Yeah.
and we got Mandalore back.
Well, and even with the broken Darksaber, doesn't mean that she still doesn't own it.
yeah.
So now only thing for Bo to do is to either figure out how to fix it, which
They have a forge. No,
Yeah,
they do have a forge. You know, maybe they just needed a
And,
kyber
like-
crystal or something. I'm unsure.
right.
But I did see that robot and was wondering, like, maybe we'll get that Ahsoka scene where she, you know, turns hers white. But I don't know. We'll see.
That'll be awesome. Then we get the cut to the New Republic like pilot bar. Basically, we see Tiva there, and the rest of the pilots, and you know.
Yeah,
Tiva's-
you see.
sorry.
Yeah.
Din is landing here. FYI.
Yeah, you see Filoni and the other the other directors in the background as their characters, basically.
Yeah.
And I love how Filoni just shows up with just a different cowboy hat, basically, in the background. But yeah, this is the point where he's basically asking him to give him bounties.
Yeah.
And the ones that he knows the New Republic won't be able to do, so they're a little outside of his bounds. Like the one we saw on Navarro.
Yeah.
Basically, when the New Republic is forced not to act, and you think it's necessity, call me.
Yeah.
And I got you.
Yeah, and it's great. And Din's like, I'm asking for a small advance. You know, see that droid head up there?
Yep.
That IG droid.
Yeah, which
It
Grogu's
remi-
looking
it-
at. Yeah.
It reminds Grogu here of a friend he used to know.
Yep.
So I need it for parts.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only thing I need in advance right now. Then he goes to Navarro, you know, and in the city center he's with Grief Karga.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, Karga gives him the deed to the cabin
Plot of
out
land,
there,
yeah.
and all of that out there. He's like, raise your family out there, have fun. And he's like, hey, into Karga, hey, I got something for you too, bud.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, I got you a Marshall. And then who comes walking in? A newly put together, painted IG-11.
IG-12, I guess. IG-13 maybe
yeah,
now?
maybe IG-13 at this point.
I don't know.
But he's the new Marshal.
Yeah. He's got this
And-
cool painted red logo on him and stuff, but he fits in with the Navarro aesthetic, and it's really cool. Yeah, he's the new Marshal, and it's definitely Taika Waititi's voice.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so good. Then we get a cut to Din outside, like sitting on the porch of like the cabin or whatever.
It's so just like a Western,
yeah,
like an end of a Western. You can't. He's just chilling on his porch with Grogu, basically. You know what I mean?
yeah. Grogu, like Din's in the background on the
literally-
porch. Grogu's in the foreground, using the Force on a frog.
Mm-hmm.
But he actually doesn't eat the frog.
Mm-mm.
He puts the frog back in the
Yeah,
water,
exactly.
or like lets it fall or whatever back into the water.
Yeah.
And the one thing I do love is that the world went so big, and then it got so small
Yep.
on Grogu, and then we got the cut.
Yep.
And so I really wonder if season 4, if they're telling us it's really about Grogu. If that's
Well, the whole show has clearly been about Grogu.
Yeah.
Now we know who the Mandalorian really is. The Mandalorian refers to a bunch of the whole race of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
But this season he's been a side character basically. Him and Din almost have been side characters in this show,
absolutely.
and people were mad. And I'm like, well, this whole show is about Mandalorians.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've loved it, and I think this season was great because it really is Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. It's very much a complete story.
Yeah.
Whatever they do in season 4 is fine, but like if you,
It's crazy to think
you know
season
what I
4
mean?
is already written too, though.
Yeah, no, definitely, and they definitely have a grand plan for all these characters. But I'm so as somebody who's a completist, I would be fine with these first 3 seasons and this being it.
Yeah.
Because that was just a good ending.
I agree. I agree. And then having them just like show up to like help fight in like
so
the
now
movie or
whatever he gives us, cool.
Yeah, because like I assume maybe we see an appearance of Din in Ahsoka. I don't know if we see full on, if we see a hologram version of him or what.
I think we will.
But I think we'll see him in that. But otherwise, it's like season 4, and then what? We're gonna get Ahsoka, season 4 of Mandalorian, and then the movie, maybe.
Yeah, that like Thrawn probably project, which is it's seeming like more and more.
Yeah, because that movie is supposed to tie up all of the loose ends then of everything for the Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka now. So I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Ahsoka comes out in August. We'll be here
Right.
for that. Come check back for that.
My favorite character.
Right. In May, on May the 4th, we get Visions. I know you'll be here for a couple of episodes. I've got some other people popping in for a couple of episodes of that, so I'm stoked.
Exciting.
I'm stoked for that. Come check us out May the 4th for Visions. Otherwise, man, I love Star Wars. I think we're good to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Really excited for what's coming out. We got the Alkalite in early 2024. And then I think in
That's
like
gonna be great.
late fall 2024, like August 2024, is when we're supposed to get season 2 of Andor as well. So yeah, we've got some really fun Star Wars content coming here. So stay tuned. I hope you all, thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Hope you all stay safe. I am Jimmy with the Triple C Collective.
Collin here.
And we thank you for joining us. And as always, this is the way.
Hey.